This is People and Their Poems, a podcast about the poems that make a difference in our world. People and Their Poems is presented by Ornog Mountain Publishing. Thanks for joining us today.
Welcome to People and Their Poems podcast. My name is Sandy Carlson. I'm your host, and I'm here today with Deborah Nash Ott, another Connecticut poet who has recently published a wonderful collection called Occasional Grace, published by Grace and Books. So thank you for joining me today, Deb. Appreciate you being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Sandy. You always have such great questions.
So it's a beautiful book, and I just enjoyed reading through it. And I've known you as a poet who loves classical literature and the Odyssey. That was one of our contact points many months ago. Yeah. And I know you've written collaboratively with Heather Gatley, and now you've got this collection.
Yep, it's my first private collection, my own.
Right. So can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to create this solo collection and where your title came from?
Yeah, it was an interesting journey. Initially, post-divorce, I have to put that in there because it informed my journey back in 2021, 22. I had a lot of angry, aggressive, pro-feminine poems, and I put together a collection, and they weren't all feminist and, angry, but some of them were, and it colored the collection. Then I found a cover that was modern and jagged and bright colors, and I thought, yeah, that's where I'm at. And then I let the collection sit with me, and I wrote some more. And then I was walking one day. Oh, and by the way, the first collection was called Solid Miss. So play on words there. Then I was taking a walk one day, a cold winter day, and I thought, that's not me now. I went through that journey of anger and divorce and all of that. And what came to me was my love of nature and this gentle letting go. And the namesake for this collection, Occasional Grace, is in the book, but it's also where I'm at. It's nature. It's looking, forgiving, thinking, reflecting rather than putting out angry vibes. So it shifted everything. And then this collection fell into place. And what I pulled with the help of wonderful, wonderful Ginny Connors was a range of poems, but there was a lot of nature poetry in there and a lot of, reflective stuff that was a lot closer to me than that transition I was going through for a couple of years. So it was a happy journey as I just sort of gave myself a Mary Oliver hug. I sort of was like, it's okay, just be your gentle self. Hence Occasional Grace. So that was my journey.
Got it. And your nature poetry is true nature poetry, where you are truly celebrating the wonders of the natural world and as a friend to those things and as a touchstone, but as a being with integrity in its own right. Could you talk to us about what aspects of nature and what parts of nature in Connecticut inspire a lot of your writing? Where are your views in Connecticut?
Oh, well, it's the forest, isn't it? Connecticut. It's the trails and the forest, and something will catch me, and then I'll stand and I'll look closer. Of course, I'm a birder, so the birds start to inform my experience. And then I'll look, and you've had this experience where it becomes a metaphor for something else, or it speaks to you, or it guides you. And then when you get home, and if you have the privilege of time to jot down some ideas, the metaphor or whatever comparison, and usually I see comparisons in nature and in my own journey, comes to you, and all the descriptive writing and anything that you enjoy about that also comes to the fore in nature writing. It is the place where you get quiet, isn't it? And it's so meditative.
It is, and the language you use is so natural and organic, if I could use that word in a conversation about nature poetry. But it emerges from what you're describing. There's no sense of anything being forced or
Mhm.
unfamiliar to you in any way. Could you just describe your writing process a little bit? You have these encounters with nature.
Hmm. Hmm.
Could you just describe how you go from being to having a poem?
Right, right. It comes in different ways. Sometimes if I'm in the car or something, I just pull out my notes and jot down key phrases, descriptors, and it might begin with the mood of the weather. And I'm just putting a lot of descriptive phrases down. Sometimes the relationship comes to me right away. When I was on the Avon Mountain, I had a moment where the vultures, those turkey buzzards were overhead, and suddenly it felt like, and it was in the beginning of the Trump second administration, and I just felt pressured by these turkey vultures. So I jotted that down, Trump, turkey vultures, blah, blah, and then I built a poem out of that. So yeah, it will happen always where I have either notebook, I'll do anything. I'll put right down in front of the screen, I'll put it on my phone, and I'll be ready to write. So yeah.
You mentioned having a great editor in Ginny. Are there others who give you feedback or input along the way in your writing process, or is it more of a solitary act?
Oh no, boy, Connecticut Poetry Society, the Farmington Valley Group, they're mighty critiquers. They put it through its paces. And I love that group. I belong to two other groups. One is an international poetry group, and the other is a local, well, a group of women in England and me. I met them many years ago, and we wanted to maintain our relationship. So it gets vetted, or I roll it out several times in different settings to see how it flies. And usually the warts show up pretty quickly when you read it online or orally. So yeah, that's what seems to happen.
Gotcha. And are you a public poet as well? Do you do a lot at open mics or
Yep,
just
love it, love it, love me. I'm invited to open mics, or I'll get up there. You probably know in the Hartford area we have the Real Artways, and they have fabulous poets they bring in. Of course, Mark Doty was just at the Athenaeum, the Wadsworth, and he did his reading there. But once Real Artways gets up and running again, and the Riverwood Poetry Reading Series starts again, they always either end or begin with open mics, and I get up there and just roll out something, which is fun. Yeah, they're great. And poets, as you well know, Sandy, they're such a forgiving, honest, authentic audience, and they're with you no matter what. What if you roll out something brand new and you're a little nervous? "Nah, I've never written something like this before." They're there with you. So it's fun to work with poets. They're a great bunch.
I hear you. I remember last year, wow, yeah, last calendar year, being at Real Art Ways and Nadia Sims was hosting an event.
Oh
And one of
yeah.
the first things she said was, "This is a safe space,"
Yep.
and you can let
Absolutely.
go of all that performance anxiety that it has to be the A paper or the A poem. It's your poem and it's a part of you.
It's
And it was just such a lovely way to open something, to with a
safe
sense of,
space. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and honoring the integrity of the creative person to stand up and offer that. And it has always seemed to me the sort of the paragon of democracy that we can bring
Yeah.
our poetic art to a common table, share it, and let it be, and
Let it be.
that
Yeah.
it's safe there, and that you can have that range of views, experiences, and style,
Yeah.
and it's okay.
Absolutely. And it's totally okay. And we're witness to one another, and definitely that happens as well. I'm sure you've been in writers groups. I just finished a writers retreat with one tiny segment of the International Women's Writers Guild, which has its own history. But sometimes the writing comes up and it's the first time they ever explored it. And there may be tears, there may be a revelation, but it's a safe space, and so they can do it there. And the authenticity and the feelings that happen in a first reading of a very raw piece. It's sacred to be part of that because that other person is feeling like, I feel safe with you. Here's what I'm going to share. And And the writing can only improve after that and get stronger.
For sure. And we were both at the Woodbury Public Library when that group of young people came up from
Oh,
southeastern Connecticut all the way into Litchfield
weren't they fabulous?
because their teachers wanted them to have that experience of an
Yeah.
open mic. And I think it was one of the most heartwarming experiences I can think of is that whoever they were,
Hmm.
teachers knew they'd be safe at Woodbury Public Library reading their
Isn't that
poems.
nice for you? Yeah.
And we
To see.
were and we were all there to hear those children share their work. And
Mm.
it's why we need our public libraries. And it's
Oh, God bless public libraries and librarians. Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's amazing. And it's where I've gotten to enjoy your amazing poetry. So having said that, would you share some of the work from Occasional Grace with us?
Oh, sure. I chose three. Is that would that be working with our time frame here?
Sure, three or four, whatever
Three or
you
four?
whatever you think.
Okay. Okay. I'll start with one that is not nature poetry. One of my favorite poets is Emily Dickinson. I love her sparseness and her ability to just condense right down to the most essential elements of the writing. And she's been with me for many, many years, as with you, I'm sure. Good New England tradition there. And my favorite Beatle is John Lennon. And one night I wondered, what would it be like if Emily and John talked? So this is entitled Emily Dickinson Meets John Lennon. Imagine it takes place somewhere like heaven. Two minds, quiet and kind. The buzzing flies have stilled, the slant of light, a single blind, these citizens of the world. Untethered by possession or fealty, no heaves of civil storm, but the peace of the bee hovering over flower cup, the carriage bringing the two home to another country. John, she will say, you have a soul as present as the sky. And Emily, John would say, you are the wind I cannot feel, the empty space of surrender when a dreamer gives up the dream. And
Love it. Love it.
that's
I love
just
this idea of being untethered by possession and surrendering the dream. And
yeah, and that's, I feel bad about losing John, and I don't know exactly what Emily died of, but I hope they meet in heaven. I think they'd have a really interesting conversation. Um, yeah, and conversations are always important for me, or the lack of conversation. And this one kind of mixes my own thoughts when I was walking around my former neighborhood with winter, with people not being there, but knowing that you want to make that contact. This is called Smoke Rises. Smoke rises from the house behind my own. We share the same lot, same trees, a wandering creek. We have heard one another of a summer night, perhaps, a sneeze, a shout, a loud TV. But never have we spoken. Oh, perhaps a nod exchanged on walks around the oval loop when I admire their grounds. See, on winter days, my own house through the bare trees, its back with looming, empty windows. I wonder if they wonder who I am, what shared delights we have in our separate lives. Two houses divided by water and land, and when I leave or die, will never have shaken hands, though we breathed the same air, trod the same pavement, gazed at the same sky.
that one
Um,
that one just rings so true in so many ways, having lived in neighborhoods where people are connected and disconnected at the same time.
yeah, and you think, gosh, shouldn't we say hello? Shouldn't we be together at some point? Or at least um in nature once again have our moment of sharing of the beauty of a night sky or a winter morning or whatever, and it doesn't happen. And I'm sort of shy too, but I'll put on the smile from time to time.
Right, right. And we're so close, a sneeze, a shout, a loud TV apart.
Yeah, 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 you hear all of that, don't you?
Yeah,
It's a funny thing. And to wonder what were their lives like. Um, walking alone is something I love to do as well. And um, this one is called About Walking in the Woods. It's what I spend a lot of time doing. It is a natural desire to want to wander, to ponder that long lost feeling of being a part of things. The fungus on the side of a fallen oak is a rainbow of mineral shades with lacy lip like foot of snail. We look and soak it in, learn how to see the small living world. Maybe a pine branch muscles its way through a thicket of bittersweet, colors dense, the greens, the ripe red berries, husk of yellow. It's like human life, this tumble of brambles and growth, messy but beautiful. Souls grow underground, tree roots converse, form a quiet network, and we stop walking and try to listen. Yeah, there's that natural experience that we have, um, and we all do it. I think as poets, you can't avoid having stillness and nature in front of you. And New England is a great place to have that because everywhere you turn, something new is growing or happening. Or in the cold of winter, the shades of gray are amazing, aren't they?
absolutely. And when I read that poem for the first time, the souls grow underground really spoke to me. I think of
Mm,
the mycorrhizae of the trees and that whole
mhm.
underground network of life,
Yes.
but also on a mythic level, the underworld and
Oh yeah.
the souls feeding the earth in some way. That all that is part of the same cycle of life.
Mm,
Yeah.
lovely. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with it. And I had read the Overstory by Powers, and boy, did that affect me. And I always loved trees, but I loved them more after the Overstory. And then I follow this fellow, oh, what's his name? Ethan Tapper on on Instagram, How to Love a Forest, and he's coming out with a book shortly. He's just so cool. He's this young man and he's full of passion and he'll talk very specifically about old forests, new forests, forest growth, etc. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and I think also Suzanne Simard's The Mother Tree, this idea
Mm,
of how the trees
mm,
care for each other and
yeah. The mother tree. Yeah, I got that one keeps coming up for me. I'm writing down things even as we speak.
and then I mean, and that woman when she was younger
Hmm.
essentially poisoned herself as she was poisoning trees to see what these chemicals these
We're doing,
herbicides
yeah. Wow.
and that it would come around that ultimately had breast cancer as a result of all the
Hmm.
exposure, um, but her efforts and her passion for the environment actually brought us to a better understanding of the interconnectedness of
Hmm.
all life.
Mm,
Really beautiful stuff.
lovely, lovely. Yeah, there's no end to that. You can go deeper and deeper and not exhaust the topic.
No,
Do I have time for one more poem?
yeah, that would be great.
This will be the last one, and it speaks to a number of things. It speaks to my illness. I have leukemia, and I'm involved in a class action suit about Roundup, which is what I was using to kill the poison ivy that was driving me crazy. But little did I know. Little did I know. So this last poem is Occasional Grace, and it informed me to think that's where you're going, Deb. This is the title of your book as well. I have a diagnosis I rarely talk about. It is a boogeyman or woman or some gender-free disease that fills my blood with too much white. Those relentless, ghost-like cells will duplicate, damaged, imperfect. I'd rather not say what they're up to. Better to embrace the cold January sky, blue and beckoning, accept the invitation of a few muscular clouds that call out, "Come on, it's winter. You can do this." Sing in the morning, walk at noon, stay on the trail and don't turn around. Your numbers haven't hit the ceiling. Not yet. not with snow falling just now, covering with grace the leaf-littered path. Thank you.
Beautiful poem, and it just speaks to that whole idea of accepting life with grace.
Whatever comes your way.
Yeah, and I'm only trying to imagine what it would take to get to that place, you know. Really beautiful stuff, Deb.
Thank you. Thank you. We're all blessed by communities of people that we're engaged with, and I've friendship and friends and family, we all kind of prop each other up
For
and nature.
For sure. Um, is there anything that you learned about yourself in pulling this collection together? Did you have any surprises as a just as a human being walking this earth or as a creative person?
Hmm. Just the delight of working with an editor. I felt validated because someone else said, "Yeah, hey, yeah, let's do this. I'll print your book." Self-publishing is wonderful. I've done plenty of it. Um, to collaborate with someone was a real privilege for me. And Ginny is a wonderful person to collaborate with, and the wisdom and the softening of just accepting, oh, that one didn't work, okay. And I remember a famous quote from Rudyard Kipling. He said, kill your darlings. So, you're cutting off some stuff that you thought was just pristine in a line, and then you realize that the poem was better after it. So that was part of my delightful learning process. And it was hard. I mean, you're working, you're putting in hours to clean up a manuscript. I know you know this many times around. And ultimately trying to be authentic, vulnerable, with some fresh language, saying something to your reader. That's the final goal. And it was just a pleasurable experience from beginning to end. So yeah.
Sounds like it for sure. Is there just somebody listening and thinking about, well, I've got a selection of poems I'd like to pull together. Are there but I don't know if it's worth it or I should.
Oh,
Any advice
yeah.
for people out there who might be thinking of taking the same journey that you did
Yeah.
as a writer?
Yeah. And it's okay. Give yourself some permission to create some domains as you look at your poems. Maybe you have several dozen. Think that fool around with it. Maybe these are water poems. Maybe these are nature poems. And here I'm looking at some human relationship poems. Cluster them or see if they stay together as units. And then do they move through a collection together? Or is there a thread that carries every poem through? It's okay to fool around and see what kind of vibe you get if you cluster them, if you put water and nature together. And if you switch over to an urban set of poems, because that's where you were at, um, and the results can be surprising and really gratifying. And then if you don't like it, you have every bit of permission to take it all apart and put it back together again linearly, perhaps. Maybe it was a growth journey that you went through. So just always giving yourself permission to do that. And I think people will get what you're going for if you do it, again, authentically, with an eye to your reader and your own creative chops, what you want to show.
Well, that's great, Deb. I think the idea of the self-acceptance and the being open to changes, to things that
Mm,
you think are perfect. Yeah, that's that is the adventure, right? And that
mm,
making it even better and
yeah, yeah,
available to an outside audience.
yeah, and just getting it ready for that. Um, Sharing it, you work with a lot of young poems. Get it out there, sit in front of a mirror and say those poems out loud. Get used to your voice out there too. For those who are young and haven't done a reading before, that in itself is transformational. Looking into the Zoom screen, you are your audience. Just say it, put it out there. Get used to your voice vibrating out loud. Just really shout it out, say it, and do a little theater with it too. Some movement, whatever. Um, Yeah, and the first times around are rough, and then you think, oh, I did it, and they liked my poem. Oh, and so you move on and forward.
So
Yeah.
really, not only is the writing of the poetry an endeavor in finding your own voice, but also the sharing. It's a process that
Absolutely.
has multiple
Yeah.
facets.
Yeah, I totally believe that. In the true Homeric tradition, poems were chanted and accompanied by a musical instrument. And so that chanting converted into, iambic pentameter and trochaics and dactylics and the beautiful rhythms of the English language, particularly Shakespearean English. And so all of that comes to the fore when you start to hear those words and how they play on almost musically when you are at a reading or give your own reading. So, yeah, that part's fun too.
Yeah, as we heard in the poems you read for us. So thank you, Deborah, for joining me on People and Their Poems to talk about your book, Occasional Grace. Where can our listeners find this if they would like to get a copy?
You can get a copy at Amazon Prime and Grayson Books.
Got it.
Yeah.
And we will put those details on the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sandy, you're a great interviewer. It's a delight to talk to you. And I just love your series, and I love the work and the support you provide for poets all over the place.
It's an honor. It's just fun.
Oh, you're doing it well. Thank you so much.
This has been People and Their Poems, presented by Oronog Mountain Publishing. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to check the show notes for more information about this episode. Visit OronogMountainPublishing.com for more information about our services and writing opportunities. And visit peopleandtheirpoems.net to learn more about the podcast.